Welcome to Dave Loves Everything. I am not Dave. I'm his brother Toby, but I like to get Dave riled up about stuff. So we're going to catch up with the news every week and talk about the things that my brother Dave loves. Let's go. All right, Shavy D, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How you doing
All right,
today?
good. All right,
What's
so
up,
we
bro?
got a lot to cover. So I'm going to just kind of toss this up here. I'd love to get your reaction to this little piece of the news this week, and we'll just start from here.
Oh man, what a clown show!
So if you're just listening, we're looking at Kid Rock, the rodeo clown, leaning on the Resolute desk.
It's such a common. I mean, like I almost this one. I'm just not. I'm almost not sure how to react to it because I just this has become so common where he's just sitting at that desk and he basically has like the clown show of the week come through off to that one side, whether it's this guy, Elon, whatever. I mean, yeah, I don't. The Oval Office and any office in that building is not what it once was. Full
Well,
stop.
and there's never been, like, in this very short but eventful administration, never have I felt more in a simulation. Like, after we just did the whole thing about, freaking out over not wearing a suit in the Oval Office or whatever to a, president in a time of war kind of thing. And then we parade this fuckstick in here looking like that.
Oh my goodness. I mean,
Which is sad because it detracts from an actual pretty good point that they were in there for. I mean, obviously the real point was just the stunt, but the actual bill I think that they're talking about is pretty reasonable. I think we can all agree the price gouging shit needs to be taken under control, but
it's absolutely spun out of control. But yes, I mean, you make a great point because I think that the biggest thing that just makes my stomach turn is the idea that this is coming on the heels of, like, I don't know, a week ago, I read about the basically selling sponsorships for the egg roll, for the upcoming Easter egg roll. Like,
oh,
it's
of course.
all like multiple $1 million like sponsorship packages. And it's like the idea that everything has to be a moneymaker. I mean, in all honesty, in this group, it's a grift. It goes
Right.
well beyond that. But I mean, like, part of governance is a giving back to the people, or at least the appearance of that. And then to turn everything, like you said, even, nobody wants price gouging. So, like, let's deal with that. But, like, this is how I have to hear about it. Like, oh my goodness.
Right. And even, probably not the time to be talking about like ticket price gouging when like actual, price gouging of the essentials is probably more the matter at hand, I would say.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But, it actually kind of detracted a little bit from, really probably the bigger news. And that's kind of my question for you, Shavy D, is like, do we believe any of this is an actual, like, how much of it is just the distraction? Because
Oh,
this was all leading up to Liberation Day, which I'm excited to get your take on as well.
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, is that it's now to the point where nothing can be trusted. Nothing. I mean, that's really the end game, and we're already there. That's what is, like, kind of shocking to me, is there's nobody's feet have been held to the fire in so long that it's almost a foreign concept. And then, like, I mean, it's just a slow train wreck happening that we're all watching happen, and no one's stopping it. And then the little bit of, whatever. I mean, the larger joke than this, because this stuff is legit. But, like, so the pushback leading up to this is one of the most just useless people I can think of off the top of my head, Cory Booker, pulling that 24-hour speech stunt.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, That's addressing this. That's addressing this coming down the pipe. Give me a break. So, I don't know. I just don't like all the pearl clutching is what really distracts from all of this. And this, again, kind of like the Kid Rock thing with the gouging issue, there's legitimate things that need to be worked out. But at the end of the day, and I don't know who put forth this theory, but I feel there's some legitimacy to it. And that's that the reason that this tariff thing is so important to him, and the reason it is come hell or high water that this is what's happening, is, as the executive, really, besides all the ridiculous amount of power that Congress has conceded to that position over the past 50 years, he's still relatively limited in what he can and can't do. But this stuff he has very little restriction. So all of a sudden he makes this all about him and what he can do, and then it basically works in perfect concert with the idea that now individually every head of state or every leader of these different countries have to come and bend the knee. So he is absolutely getting the attention at home, and he's getting, the I guess forced deference from the rest of the world. Yeah. And it's just, again, I don't know what to genuinely take serious and what not to. Because it's all serious, but what it just makes my head spin.
So, what about the Cybertruck vandalism? Do you guys have that in Detroit right now? Is it ravaging your community over there? We just, a lot of reports in Kent County over here about the Cybertrucks and the Nazi propaganda being sprayed on it and whatnot. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, I don't, I'm very anti, because
this is basically terrorism. This is they're saying domestic terrorism is what they're wanting to call that, which is like a very, I don't know. I don't think that's a very good argument. However, it is basically, it is vandalizing property based on political, values.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm also very disgusted. Again, vote with your pocketbook. I mean, we're a capitalist country. But the virtue signaling, which always disgusts me, about everybody selling theirs and putting it online and all the things that, whatever. So already just stop that. But anytime you use violence, you work against everything that I stand for, because people need to be called out and absolutely verbally taken to the woodshed, but you don't get to cross that line, or you're a criminal. And better and worse yet, if you have people that are now driving those things worried about their own safety, then you probably spill over into a terrorist. Point being, though, that, that's where I think that I'm most saddened as, a 50 something. I've seen in my lifetime, and especially in the last, 15 years, let's say, a major coarsening of society. So it was, I truly believe in it's not just if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And I think that societally we were closer to that at one time. And I think now we are far closer to the by any means necessary. And if you're not with me, you're against me, and I'm going to rain fire and brimstone on you. And that's so again, I think now again, the self-serving nature with which Pam Bondi and all these underqualified talking heads in that group, whatever, I don't want to hear it from them. I guess that's maybe the grossest thing to me in all of these things is the worst possible people to have issue with these things or to discuss these things are the ones discussing them. The ones, how dare you get all indignant about Signalgate when you made your hay the last, in 2016 on the bathroom server. Like, so
Yeah.
like, oh, just shut up.
Well, I
All
mean
in all.
the whataboutism is so
Oh,
strong now because both sides of the argument have so much to draw from now. There's nothing that one side can do that there's not an opportunity for them to point at the other side for having done the same thing. So the hypocrisy just runs
absolutely.
rampant and people have lost their ability to. Now when I say people, this is what you and I are here for, is to restore some sanity to the mindful middle, as I like to
Yeah.
call us. You got to be able
Well,
to take things on a case by case basis, but everybody is dug into teams so hard that they're hating everything. They're hating everything that comes from Trump, or they're loving everything that comes from Trump.
yes. I mean, I think you touch on the most important thing to me, excuse me, which is you touch on the most important thing to me, which is really the idea that your side, their side issue of, I truly believe that, like, if you're putting someone in power, if you're electing them, if you're hiring them, if you're choosing to be their friend, their associate, you are responsible for holding their feet to the fire. You have made a decision to be part of that group, that whole, that movement, and you better be responsible for that. The only thing I hear nowadays is how the other person's wrong. And no one is ever offering how they're going to solve it, how they're going to make it better, how their way is better. It's the other guy's a piece of shit. And oh my God, the
Yeah.
world's going to end if we don't, take him out by any means necessary.
Right.
And
If we're going to be in a two-party system, then the most rigorous campaigning and scrutiny should be happening during like the primaries, when
absolutely.
it is the people, like you say, looking at their own side and choosing the best representative of their own values and their own virtues. But yeah, now it's all about, well, it's even in choosing candidates, it's come down to like who has the best chance of beating Trump, even if it's not like their person. But yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and it absolves them of any real responsibility, because then it's always, they're never being held to account on what they failed to do, or the lie they told, or the misrepresentation of what they were all about. It's, well, I told you this guy was this, and even if he wasn't, like, whatever, it's always about this guy. It's not about, and again, and even with that, it then turns into the, false this guy. It's the amalgam, or the whatever.
Oh,
It's such a, and it's so transparent to me. I mean, I guess that's what maybe throws me, is that, and I guess in fairness, I've always had a higher opinion of my fellow Americans than some of them probably deserve, because I think of people as relatively bright. I mean, we've been blessed with being a relatively intelligent family, and surrounded by people like, so like when I see people really not getting it, or really misunderstanding, and doing things against their own best interests, it saddens me. And that's not in any way like talking down to someone, like saying they're less than. It's just that whatever their walk, whatever their fight, whatever their issue has been over time, certain people now are punching those buttons, and stringing people up in ways that they're not even privy to. They're not even, and again, I don't want to make it sound like I'm better than that. I'm just, I guess, maybe more fortunate at times. But yeah, it's
well, you have to wonder sometimes. People get so dug in on things. When you are talking to a clearly intelligent person, but you just wonder if they really believe it sometimes, or if
yeah,
they're just so pot committed on not even a certain issue, but a certain group of issues that make them
right.
part of that team. There just seems to be this, and it is where all the virtue signaling comes from. It's so like you can smell it on them when it's like let me be part of it. Don't let me be looked at as one of the bad guys. Like in this time where it's like, are there even any good guys left? You
Right.
know, people are like, don't let me be seen as one of the bad guys. It got look.
And it's
My best friend lives in Canada. Some of my dearest friends
right.
in the world live in Canada, and I'm disgusted by all of the stuff that Trump has said and done towards Canada in this term of his. However, the virtue signaling of the people with the, you know, Canadian flags as their profile picture and like, you know, cheering Canada against the US in the hockey
Mhm.
game and stuff like that. The it's kind of embarrassing to me. Like I
Yeah.
get
Oh my
like
goodness.
sticking up for, you know, what's right and everything like that, but you're not supposed like okay, are you patriotic if you throw out your patriotism because you don't like the decisions the current leader is making? No, you don't like, "Oh, I'm a Canadian today" and all of that. That's a
Yeah. No.
little
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Like back in 8, 9 years ago, I'm moving away from the country. Like that's ridiculous.
right.
Like, and that's why.
Oh, I promise you, I just came from there. They don't want you. They don't want us. They want us to come visit, but like, you know, Canada is not like, oh yeah, we'll take all your Americans. You know,
Oh yeah, I'm talking
they're
about all the Americans that were saying in
like all the
2016 that
celebrities
if
that if
this
he
guy
gets
runs, I'm going to
elected,
go this, and it's like, oh my god, like your dudes are just as greasy as these guys. This guy doesn't clean up as well as the past few, but like, there's no bigger grifter than the one that just left.
yeah,
I mean, this guy, like, yeah, don't even get me. Like, well, that'll be a whole nother topic for us sometime. But like
yeah,
yes, absolutely. The most disgusting thing to me in the current world is virtue signaling. And why it is so offensive to me is it's almost exclusively paired with people that are oblivious to personal accountability. Just even like, not being so obnoxious. Like, I mean, certainly, like it's almost trickled down to just even some people in like everyday life, but like certainly whether it's uh politicians, entertainers, sports figures, like it's the do as I say, not as I do. And I mean, oh my goodness, like, yeah, I no one, like, we were talking, like, I've been studying cybersecurity lately, as you know, and I'm always, as an older student in college, like it's surprising to me sometimes, like the difference in mindset. And like, I'm even slightly older than the instructor. And what I've kind of constantly like kind of bring up in the discussions is they have so much more of a pronounced, in a weird sort of way. I would have thought they'd have a more nuanced right and wrong, like the grays of right and wrong. And they are so black and white in a spoon-fed sort of way. And I constantly have to bring up, well, really the biggest thing is you have to hold yourself to account. Like when you're deciding on security implementation or just how you should approach something, like yeah, it's wonderful to think of yourself as this great person beyond reproach, but if you're real honest, in your darkest hours or your most desperate times, you, whether you've acted on it or not, there is gray in this world. There are shades of gray. And so therefore, you've got to think of that. Like if you can truly think of yourself in that way, then I think it puts you at a better, position to not only understand the risks of relationships out there with people or, you know, companies or countries, but also it teaches you how better to hold yourself to account because you understand, yes, I'm the hero of my story, but I also, given a few unfortunate turns, might be a bit of a villain of my story too. And if I can understand that about me, then I can understand that about other people. And so much of like virtue signaling just shuts you off to that, because it's telling the world how great you are, and in a very real way telling them just how awful they are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, this was a actual. I don't know how much you've been on the social media. I'm assuming it's about 0 hours this week as usual. So speaking of virtue signaling, let's go ahead and take a look at some of our best examples of virtue signaling this year. Let's see.
I can only imagine.
Oh, wait, let me get rid of this. All right. So you know this guy?
Pedro?
No, Morgan Wallen. This was the big social media battle in the comment section.
Okay. Gotcha.
So,
well, I thought you were going to drop the I'm sorry, real quick to interrupt you. I thought you were going to drop the Starbucks thing. The Starbucks coffee order.
Oh no, what was the Starbucks coffee order?
Pedro Pascal was like, somebody came up, a fan, and was talking to him, and the photo they took with him, they basically, somebody else blew up the photo, and it was like 6 shots of espresso or whatever, and whatever. I mean, I've heard that of other people. You get that little like juice, and he likes to do emails, whatever. But he's on some show, and I don't remember what it was. And he's like, yeah, I kind of, and I'm sure it was a joke, but the very verbiage of, yeah, I kind of felt violated by that. Oh, dude, don't be that guy. I mean, you have escaped, like, oh, please don't let that fame finally, you're the Sand Viper, baby. Don't do it. Red Viper, Sand Viper, whatever he was. But, I just, it was a very virtue signaling type of move in my estimation. So
yeah, Pedro, he's out there a lot. He's a big target.
He may be the victim of his own success if he's not careful, because I think he's a quality, like so many people that are truly artists with what they choose, what their chosen form of art is. I would full belief in this man, but it's the new Apple commercial. It's the slight misstep with that comment. It's the, when you're everywhere all at once, it just, good luck, buddy.
He's got a lot of that, like Ryan Reynolds, Robin Williams kind of energy, where when he's out in the public, you feel like he's kind of always going for a laugh, going for that kind of thing. And when you do that, you're working off script at that point. So you bet, you're just increasing the chance that you're going to say shit that's going to get
absolutely
upset. But unfortunately, we live at a time where people are just waiting for something to get upset about.
And you referenced probably the two best examples on two ends of the spectrum, because Robin Williams, for rest his soul, was no matter how manic he ever got, he never had a misstep. Where Ryan Reynolds, I'm just about done with that guy. So yeah, Pedro,
the temperature's changed on Ryan Reynolds for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so this fucking guy, here's what got everybody upset.
Okay.
And this was like this is the guy, mind you, who a couple of years ago, he was in N-word trouble. He was in like caught on video, flying the N-word right and left, and that was kind of his first like canceling kind of thing. So he goes on SNL, and
Thank you all.
and they have kind of their tradition. This is the goodbyes at the end of the night, and then peace out, I'm out, and he's gone. And then this is what he posts later on. He posts that. Wait, I don't know how to stop this. He posts that. Get me back to God's country thing on his Instagram. So so everybody like freaks out. At first, they're already kind of like, since it's a live show, people are already posting on social media like, oh, he really bucked tradition with something going on. That's weird that he just walked straight off stage like that. Like nobody ever does that. That's when they're doing all their hugs and all that stuff. And of course, Morgan Wallen's fans, they're not having any of it. They're like, he doesn't need that, he hates everybody on that stage, all those liberal bastards and all that. He couldn't stand to be there with them anymore. Which is like, well, don't take the show then, you fucking douche. If you have so much of a problem with these people that not even with the showboaty kind of Instagram after that, if you have so much of a problem with them that you can't even finish the gig, which I would argue finishing the gig is standing on that fucking stage and you don't have to smile, you don't have to do shit, but finish the gig with some class, don't do a showboaty walk off the stage thing. Don't even book it. And like everybody's like, oh, well, I'm sure his agents just booked on it. Well, fucking man up then. Are you a man? Exactly. You're going to be told by another man to go do some show that's against your morals? What kind of man are you, Morgan?
Oh, these fuckers. I swear that's the biggest, like these, I don't even know what the overwhelming desire for some of these guys to like have a hero daddy figure is just fucking disgusting to me.
Oh, that is such a good way to put it.
Most cowardly men I've seen in my life in your psyche and your fucking heart. You got no fucking stones whatsoever. And you get these, like, because a guy fucking is country or whatever, and I was raised on motherfucking country. These guys aren't even fucking country, these newer ones.
Well, and let's face it, not just because he's country, he gained a lot of street cred with a certain crowd when he had his N-word scandal. Let's call it what it is.
Fucking jokers. Fucking jokers. These... This idea of what they think a good old boy is a fucking joke. The modern good old boy that they're talking about is a fucking beer drinking, wife fucking slapping fucking grown fucking child.
Well, when you're
man from the fucking country, like a good old boy from, I mean, we got relatives coming from the Black Hills of fucking Tennessee and fucking Austin, Texas, back in the fucking cotton picking fucking days. So those were men that fucking shouldered the fucking load, worked hard, came home to their wife and fucking family, and were a moral, upstanding member of their fucking community. They weren't little fucking baby fucking men that get like again, the fucking orange dude. Like, I get why he fucking loves it, but all these fucking grown men making like Rambo posters and fucking Conan fucking posters with his head on them, you sycophantic little fucking punks. That is as far from tough or shouldering a load as I can fucking think of. I mean, maybe shouldering his load, but fuck.
It is. It's a nation of cucks, basically, that are just like, lead me, daddy.
Yes. Yeah. I desire to be put in a fucking little hole and labeled. And it's true on the fucking
like the good old boy posting his "Get Me Back to God's Country," it's overlaid on a picture of his private jet.
Oh, these... Dude,
are we in a simulation? Like, he meant that. That wasn't ironic.
It's a world of entitlement, and it's the most entitled that are like throwing it out like, oh my God. I mean, one more, like a Trump or a Musk doing like, do you know what I'm giving up for this? Fuck off. Oh my God. No one, I mean, the only ones buying your shit is the group of people we just fucking talked about. So I get the motivation of the people in power because they got everybody on the line, but like, come on, dude. Yeah. What gets called toughness nowadays is nothing, I mean, the projection of violence is not tough. To shoulder tough times, tough words, making tough decisions for the betterment of not just yourself, but the whole, that's tough. Yeah. So,
I mean, it's so ironic because, like, I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, pretty regularly. I mean, there's some guests that I'll skip if it's too out there or whatever, not really my thing, but I listen to most of them, and it's funny because like he has so many very interesting guests, but he has this following that like really it's this manosphere kind of thing that you hear talking about, and it's totally what you're saying about like he has so much power right now that I think he could have steered the election in a lot of different ways if he chose to. And people will underestimate like the whole podcast effect of this election, but watch in 4 years from now, it's going to be completely swayed by these like figureheads that have these massive audiences behind them without really a lot of substance. I mean, Joe Rogan doesn't really carefully curate his guests. Like I've listened to him for years, and there was a very distinctive shift to nice mix of intellectual types mixed with comedians to everybody has a
I haven't listened to him in a lot of years or a lot of months for those reasons. I mean, I don't have anything against him. I like him. I mean, I'm not the biggest, MMA guy or big time wrestling thing.
Yeah.
He
doesn't bring anybody in that doesn't like share his viewpoint anymore.
Right. Yeah. I can't really speak too much on, but I definitely know that he held more appeal to me a year ago than he has in quite some time. I was glad to hear him speak out on the whole deportation thing. Cause we should all be speaking up on that, but yeah, I mean, I think that the problem, or just to kind of circle back around where you're touching on a very important part of it is with the decline or pretty much almost demise of, traditional legacy media, I guess what you would call it or whatever, where there were things where, besides a large portion of the population would tune in at 5 and 6 for their news. So they would be getting a kind of a similar picture being drawn, and then there would be larger events and they would be on, you'd have fewer choices of where you were going to get that either news or entertainment from. So there was we were taking it in as a culture, as a whole. And now because it's so piecemeal, those very talking heads that you're talking about have ridiculous power. I mean, the overwhelming appeal of Rush Limbaugh was because of he was at the early part of the right turning away from traditional media. And now since then, everybody on the left is caught up. And so now it's all, these tiny little pockets of stuff. And the handful of names that have broken through and are everybody knows a Joe Rogan podcast. Even if you don't listen to it, you know about it. It's like the Howard Stern of 20 years ago. I mean, I can count on one hand how many times I listened to him after I gave him a chance. But many, I still knew about him, even if I wasn't listening to him, whatever. And so that's the thing. And then, a lot of people, they'll do whatever they have to do to make those greenbacks. So no matter how they start, very few go the whole time without selling at least a part of their soul.
Yeah.
And so it's unfortunate.
It's scary to see how easily people will fall in line behind, any leader. I think people are just so starved for someone to step up. And I think there needs to be Joe Rogan types along every point of the political and social spectrum. I think we just need more. I think the idea that young people and older people like us are listening to long form content, I think that's important. I'd rather people be getting their news and commentary from a Joe Rogan than from a CNN or Fox, you know what I mean? Because at least things are being discussed interview wise, not their news. I shouldn't put it that way, but I just think there needs to be a lot of that across all points of the spectrum.
I like the comment about long form because I think you get more of a sense of who those people are, what they're about. You can kind of there's a discernment that you personally get to participate in by watch, especially if it's video or whatever, where you can watch reactions and, you know, how they respond to stuff. And so that's, yeah, I think that's a very positive thing. I think where the real decline or the disappointment with me has been is the, you know, and I almost hate to say it because it's so been used and abused by the, you know, right and left, but specifically the right on, you know, the mainstream media this and the mainstream media that. But at the end of the day, none of these people are really journalists anymore. I mean, they have people on and then they basically wind them up and let them go. They don't like ask questions in the middle. And if they are, it's usually somebody they're disagreeing with so they can grandstand themselves, which is a flippin' joke. They never get to anything. And then they just basically let them spew lies without, and if they agree with them, they don't correct them. And if they don't, then they just do some kind of flippant little thing at the end that doesn't really get down to, you know, any kind of really journalistic, you know, thing. And then, but then they all like Jake Tapper might be a great guy, whatever, but you're doing nothing. You're constantly saying stuff that is just self-aggrandizing. That's not holding anybody's feet to the fire. And then all of a sudden I see that you got like a show doing like scandals, this and scandals. Like, you're all wannabe entertainers that weren't good looking enough to be actors or something. Like, I don't even know, but like, I
well, why do we even? Why have we ever
a joke? Every single one of them from the morning till night. I mean, the couple people I like are the couple people like Becky Anderson from Abu Dhabi and like Quest Means Business from England. Like, it's all the non-Americans that I like. These. How far we have fallen. I mean, it's just, I don't.
All right, well, let's lighten the mood a little bit. You know, I wanted something that we could talk about, something a little bit more positive, because I know we can remember Val.
Oh,
what a
good
loss!
Good man.
What a loss. When I heard the news, he was one where it was like, I toggled so quickly because I thought I saw a lot of Iceman stuff right away, and then I'm like, and a lot of Batman stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's not even how I remember him at all. And for a second, I'm like, my first thing with him was Real Genius, which I watched in such heavy rotation. But then I almost neglected to pay tribute to Doc Holliday, which was the number one. But he was so, like, I don't even think of him. Like, he was so immersed in that role that I almost didn't even think of him right away, just because he's a chameleon.
He truly disappeared into that one. I mean, because Real Genius is absolutely one of my all-time favorite cult classics.
I mean, how many times must
Top
we
Secret
watch that as kids?
Top Secret was a great like, you know, airplane style film. And then I'll be honest with you, like, he is the one, like, don't get me wrong, I find her son to be very talented, but Meg Ryan in The Doors was a joke, and pretty much everybody in that movie was a joke, but Val was. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I just had a discussion with somebody the other day. I can't stand, I will watch documentaries for days on all of the great artists. I don't want biopics. The biopics, I mean, the recent one with Bob Marley, like, that is just disgusting to me.
Bob Dylan, you mean?
No, well, that I won't watch any. I didn't see
a Bob Marley one,
but like, of course, that
it's
young
an epidemic. You know what? I heard somebody several years ago. This was like, maybe like, I don't know which was first, like the Elton John or the Freddie Mercury. They were both sort of around the same time. But whichever one was first, like 5 or 6 years ago, whatever that was, somebody said, watch, these fucking rock star biopics are going to be the new superhero movie. They're going to fuck them out until there's nobody left, and the quality is going to
I mean, for goodness
lesson.
sake,
But
the Freddie
Complete
Mercury.
Unknown won Oscars, though. I mean, I haven't watched it yet, but
Of course it did. Of course it did. These guys.
That's a fair point. Of course,
trip over each other to stroke each other off.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
the
a good
award
point.
shows are the biggest joke in the world. Like, the only guy that maybe deserved an Oscar in the past 20 years was the poor guy from Gaza that's now getting like harassed. Like, oh my God, Hollywood is such a joke. It like, oh my God, the self-important turds that like. Now, don't get me wrong. I love their art. Like, I love to watch acting, whether it's on stage, the screen, and film. Like, and I will give people their props, but like, you're just as flawed and fallible and fucked up and full of shit in your own fucking head as any other person on this earth. And so oh my God. And then you throw in like the echo chamber or the like insulation that is that community. Like, come on. Again, quit virtue signaling and get out there and do something. Like, where are the Burts? Where are the, like, you know what I mean? Like, there were certain people like in our youth that were, I mean, they were Hollywood fixtures, but they were like,
Burt Reynolds gave
real
zero
people.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds did
These people are jokes, and the youngification of the world, the infantizing of like entertainment. Like, I don't want to, like, I understand, like, and I'll even grant that Timothée Chalamet is a decent actor. I mean, I enjoyed his turn in Dune, but you don't even look close enough to be a full-grown man to play Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan looked like a 40-year-old man when he was 15. You are 30 or whatever you are now, and you still look like a child. Like, they just pick. Oh, don't even get me started. Like, the people, like, if you're already in Hollywood, you get to basically pick and choose what you get. Like, they're not bringing anybody in, any new blood, any new, like, so don't give me, like, oh my God, like, I don't even know what to say to that, because
it's a stirring eulogy. He will be missed. Val Kilmer.
Oh,
once again,
one of my absolute all-time favorites, Willow.
Willow, yeah.
I mean, my goodness. So, yeah, he's. I didn't watch much of the series, but I did watch the episode of Entourage where he was the pot dealer.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He was good in that. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
All right, so let's wrap up then. That makes me think. Wrap up with just a quickie little debate here. Best Batman. Ooh. Now, I hope this doesn't turn into a kick Val when he's down, because we don't have to rank them all. Let's just focus on who is the
Kevin
best
Conroy.
Yeah. Kevin Conroy, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Full stop.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, let's throw him out, because I think, like, nerd-wise, he's almost universally accepted as that now.
Well, he defines it.
So let's go live action. Best live, in tribute to Val, let's go best live action. Are you a Keaton? We're both of the Keaton era. Like statistically, we both should be Keaton, but not necessarily.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm glad we're doing it on. I mean, sadly, I'm sad for his passing.
Yes.
The irony of this timing is that I would actually put him right at the top.
Really?
Because Keaton, as much as it was the importance of Batman '89 can't be said enough, but it was all about the right. Jack Nicholson was why that succeeded. The idea of, and the director. I mean, it was the putting the atmosphere, and understanding that Keaton, because at that time he was so coming off like Mr. Mom and all the comedies, that like knowing that he could do the serious Bruce was like the big, whatever epiphany like that came out of that. But like, he didn't do much. It wasn't an action oriented thing, and he was some of the, anyway, I don't want to, again,
he got to play Bruce Wayne. People liked his Bruce Wayne. But yeah, you're right. That's a really good point, because I think a lot of people, when they think of the nostalgia of the Michael Keaton Batman, it's not necessarily just him. It's that whole thing, because that was the first time we saw Gotham City portrayed that way.
It's
and
Vicky
I think
Vale.
the Danny Elfman score,
right.
I think a lot of those themes were like
Prince.
further ingrained into us through the animated series, and almost like latched on to the Keaton Batman too, because it was like it bookended that animated series with that, that and Batman Returns.
It opened up the world. It opened up Batman to the world, not the world to Batman. So like, and then like right after that is when we got the animated series. So like Batman 89 gets a little bit of street cred from Batman animated series. That's what
I'm saying. Like that, like that further ingrained it. That like rubbed it in further, because all of those things musically, we associate those things together because they all use the same score and all of that. So the problem with the Val Kilmer Batman, though, is
I was gonna let me
answered a question that we never asked, which was, what if Bruce Wayne had a therapist and then banged her?
Well, yeah. I mean, whatever the problem with the Kilmer one is everything around him. Like, he had the gravitas and the looks to play Bruce Wayne. He had the physical stature. They had started to loosen up the costume enough to have a little bit of movement and motion. The problem was, again, I mean, it was the same Alfred, but like they did an awful job on Robin. They did an awful job on Batgirl. They did an awful job on like everything around. Like, he was a great casting of that character. And he could have, I mean, he's a great actor. He was a great actor. So he could have, like, that. Everything else but him was the problem with that one. Again, it's second only pretty much to the nipple one, where as far as the worst goes. But as a Batman, I think he ranks up there, because Christian Bale, I liked him, but he was too the voice pushing thing. Just by the end of that series, it bothered me. And I mean, Batman can do no wrong. Like, it's hard for me to find wrong in these ones.
Ooh, so here's a hypothetical I have for you. What if we have Val Kilmer's Batman in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight? Everyone's adjusted for age, so everybody's age appropriate. I like that, because he did have kind of that darkness and kind of that pathos that would have been good in that one. So, well, again, or even in Dark Knight Rises, he might have been more interesting in that, dealing with kind of like the broken bat.
Yes, I just
it's interesting.
It's just like, they all serve their purpose. I mean, even the last, Ben Affleck. I know. He did certain things right and he did certain things wrong. I mean, the biggest thing in all these is
the thing he did most right was just wanting it. He really wanted it to be good. I think we all felt that.
Well, and again, it's I blame the directors for these, because especially that one, because like, the number one rule with Batman is he doesn't kill. So like there you already are going down the wrong track. But like the great part about the Bat character is always that he stares in the abyss but never falls in. And there was too much of the falling in Batman v Superman. And the idea that Martha is what pulls him out of it is just obscene, because like in the Frank Miller books that it was obviously absolutely, pulled from, he's doing that. It's not an emotional thing. He's methodically, he understands he's got to take Superman out to make these other things happen. And so like, it's a means to an end where, this one, he's just gone off the deep end.
Yeah, he
he's
just has this
like,
obsession. Yeah.
It's stupid. Like, again, but Zack Snyder's like,
I feel like when he thought of that Martha thing, I mean, he must have just gotten really excited. Somebody got really excited about the Martha thing.
Yes.
So
Someone
much
never
so
read
that
a comic book in their life where it's like, they both have the same mother's name.
And they got so much momentum on that idea that all the people who tried to talk him out of it, which there must have been many, just bounced right off. Because like the momentum of having that idea was just too great. It made it all the way.
Right.
So it was unstoppable.
Yes.
So.
I'm
all right. Well, I think we caught up on everything for this week. So I don't know.
Anything
else on your mind?
It's definitely been a whirlwind week. There's always a million things. I'm trying to think if there's anything in particular that really just, yeah. I'm kind of in because I'm so close to the end of my semester. I'm a little bit behind on a few of my shows or my offerings. So
yeah.
So
any recommends?
Definitely. I think you said you haven't caught the last season of Invincible yet.
I have not.
Get all over that. That was great.
You know what I'm finding is, and I didn't really think about this until just now, but I was thinking about like the stuff. Oh, JVD went bye-bye. All right, I got Shavy D back. I don't know what happened there, but go ahead, give me a rec for this week.
Well, definitely Invincible season 3. It's just absolutely steps up its game, as well as there's just so much to it. It's really a great season. Builds up to something really special near the end, and then kind of like in season 1, it leaves the final episode kind of like throws some stuff out there that might be coming down the pipe in the next season or two. And just so good. So good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think you got me. Like, I think I'll probably jump on that tonight, but I know I kind of just roll right through that one, so I have to carve out a nice chunk of time on it.
Yeah.
I think I recommended this to you off mic, The Pit on Max. Have you watched it yet? It's the medical.
Yes, you did, and I haven't seen it yet. I've had so very little like time. As a matter of fact, I mean, speaking of time, I was supposed to be going to Japan in like a week for that Star Wars celebration, and I had to cancel that because I graduate at the end of the month from with my cybersecurity degree. So it's I've actually I was getting ready tonight to possibly send an email to Doug Chang and see if he can maybe I'd like to gift my ticket to somebody since I'm not going to be able to make it. But
who's Doug Chang?
He's like one of the vice president of like creative, basically, with Star Wars. He does like a lot of the sketches and stuff you'll see at the end of The Mandalorian and stuff are his. He's
I think he could probably get his own ticket to that thing. I bet he.
Well, I think he can give it to the right people. But the reason I'm sending to him is that he graduated from John Glenn High School.
Oh no, I don't know.
Yeah, he's.
That's why I was wondering. You said Doug Chang, like it sounded like that was supposed to be somebody that I knew, but I don't know who that is.
like his backstory, he graduated from John Glenn, and then he went to Center for Creative Studies, and then was like a student advisor at that media production program at William D. Ford Vocational School that I went to. All right. So basically, you know, I was basically on track to be the next him, and then I, you know, chose to get a real job and, you know, basically screwed my life up from there. You know, or chose the working life instead of the art life. And
bygones.
Yeah, but the last couple times I've been at events, I have just missed him. Like at a D23 celebration, he was supposed to be on a panel, and then it didn't work out. And then when I was recently at a different event out in Anaheim, it was they were doing like presentations of the volume of that, you know, the thing they're using for some of those shows. And the one that I was at, he wasn't at and stuff. So I've been trying to like kind of, you know, just make that connection or whatever. And he's supposed to be in Tokyo in a couple weeks, and obviously I won't be now. So
is that a long way of saying that you haven't watched The Pit? Or
I have not watched The Pit.
Okay. Has Doug Chang watched The Pit?
No. Maybe
what the hell are we talking about here?
He may have. No, actually, the one I'm actually a big fan of that actor. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Noah Wiley.
Yes, thank you.
It's good. I think you'll like it. I think give it a shot. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, I will talk to you soon, Shavy D. Good talk. Love you, brother.
Yeah. Pleasure as always. Love you, bro. And I'll see you next week.
All right. Peace.
Peace.